So, you want to learn how to speedrun Vigilante 8 Second Offense, do you? Well, you've come to the right place. There aren't many people running this game, and I am the only person to do a run for every single character in both games, and I currently hold all 15 world records for Second Offense. But enough about me, we're here to teach you how to speedrun V8 2. First things first, let's get the basic stuff out of the way. Vigilante 8 Second Offense is a car combat game released in 1999 by Luxoflux. V8 2 features a cast of 18 different characters ranging from a stunt bike all the way up to an 18-wheeler. After picking your character, you battle through the 8 stages in a certain order, fighting against an increasing amount of enemies on each stage, all the while collecting items and doing your bonus objectives. Then, once you've reached the end, you'll have to duel your rival before you can claim victory. Seems simple enough from the outset, but let's break it down piece by piece. As I mentioned before, there are a total of 18 characters in V8 2, however in the interest of speedrunning we're only going to be looking at 15 of them. Dave Coltzman, Boogie, and Dusty Earth all don't have questlines. These 18 are divided into 3 separate factions, the Vigilantes, the Coyotes, and the Drifters, meaning the 15 characters with questlines are separated into groups of 5. For those of you who have watched my tier list should know the cast by now, for the sake of newcomers I'll go over the 15 with questlines. The Vigilantes consist of Sheila, John Torque, Team Fast, Houston, and Convoy. The Coyotes consist of Dallas 13, Nina Loco, Molo, Lord Clyde, and Obaki. And finally the Drifters consist of Babo, Garbage Man, Agent R Chase, Chassis Blue, and Padre Destino. You're certainly spoiled for choice, and there's a character for everyone, but if you wanted the easiest characters to pick up and play, well my choices would most likely be either John Torque, Houston, Dallas, Clyde, and Chassis. A speedrun consists of taking one character through all 8 stages in a single segment. These 8 stages are the same for all 3 factions, however each faction does these stages in a different order. The only consistent stage between all factions is that Arizona is always the starting stage. Here you can see the order in which each faction goes through the stages. You will also spawn in the same spot in each stage regardless of when you get there, which makes planning your route in each stage much easier. You'll notice all of my recent runs fall under the 89 and high categories, and there's a good reason. There are 3 different difficulties and 3 damages. Since we're going for speed, you probably want high damage since it makes all your weapons hit harder. But do be mindful though, your opponents also get this buff, so you can die rather easily if you're playing a lightweight character. For the difficulty, you can choose either 87, 89, or 91, which are easy, medium, and hard respectively. This changes how the AI behave, and I tend to run 89. In my view, 87 makes them too dumb, and they often get stuck on the map and you end up wasting a lot of time chasing them down. 91, on the other hand, makes them very relentless and is quite challenging if you're playing any of the lightweight characters. They also burn through their own ammunitions quite a lot, so when you go to loot their weapons, there's nothing left for you, which is important to keeping yourself stocked in a stage.
Upgrades, people! Upgrades!
These are a new addition to V8 2 when compared to its previous entry. Salvage points will drop out of destroyed vehicles and help you buff up your car. If you destroy an opponent, you will get 1 random salvage point of either acceleration, top speed, durability, or avoidance. If you total an enemy, something we'll be covering later, you get 3 salvage drops from that opponent's highest stat. The amount of points you get in each salvage depends on your difficulty and damage. Anywhere from 2 to 10 points can be gained, with 91 and high giving you the highest output. Once you collect 100 points in every stat, your car will be tuned into its Hot Rod version. This version is basically a straight upgrade to the stock and is the preferred version to use in a speedrun. If you're too lazy to grind, you can simply use both the All Unlock and All Hot Rod cheats to max everyone out, then simply just make a save file. As you begin each stage, a pop-up appears showing you that the 3 objectives of this stage labeled as A, B, and C. Objective A is either a collect items or a collect and deliver items objective. Objective B is your faction-based objective, like protecting or destroying something. And finally, Objective C is fairly simple: destroy your opponents. All speedruns for V8 2 are classified under any percent, which simply means to beat the game as fast as possible. So in V8 2, you only ever need to complete Objective C to proceed to the next stage. Well, almost anyway. There is a disclaimer with that, and it's called Objective A's timer. So Objective A in every level is one of two things: A, either collect items, or A, collect and deliver items. Items can be briefcases, bombs, fuel cans, or toolboxes, and these change depending on the stage. You will also have to grab anywhere from 2 to 6 items depending on how far into the questline you are. Now, before I mentioned there was a timer with this objective, and it's the key to doing fast runs. If the stage is collect only, then what will happen is after all the enemies are defeated, the game checks if you've gathered the items to complete the objective. If you have, then the stage will end immediately and you will receive your time. However, if you still like the items, the game takes down a 30-second timer to allow you time to gather the items. You've probably heard the phrase taking the 30 from myself or other runners before, but that timer is what we're referring to. It means simply to wait out the 30 seconds rather than go for the items because it's the faster option. Now, if the level is collect and deliver, things get changed around quite a bit. If you have no items on you and you finish Objective C, the stage ends instantly and you receive your time. However, if you end the stage with an item on you, the game will not allow you to finish the stage until you have delivered that item. If you do end up with an item on you, you can simply press the fire button at the delivery point to end the stage. Each faction has a separate amount of collect and or deliver objectives per questline, but it's very easy to remember which stages you need to worry about for items. For the Vigilantes, both Arizona and Louisiana have 2 items. Florida, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota have 3 items, and finally California has 4 items required for collection. The only 2 stages that are deliver is both Utah and Alaska. For the Coyotes, Arizona has 3 and Utah has 4. California also has 4, however it is very unlikely to get the one good spawn that takes under 30 seconds to collect. Florida is also the final stage for collection, however you need 6 items and most of these are out on the water, which is a huge waste of time. The other 4 stages of Alaska, Minnesota, Louisiana, and Pennsylvania are all deliver stages. And for the drifters, you only ever need to worry about the 2 in Arizona and the 3 in California, as every other stage is a deliver with the exception of Louisiana, which has the same problem as the Coyotes in Florida. Now, since we don't need to worry about Objective B in a speedrun, let's cover Objective C, which is the required objective to complete and the key to speedrunning. This objective is just to simply kill all of your opponents, which seems simple enough, but a new opponent gets added every odd number stage, so it does ramp up. You'll be fighting one opponent in your first 2 stages, but then it's 2 for the next 2, 3 for the next 2 after that, and then 4 in the 7th stage, and finally 3 opponents and your rival in the final stage. That in total makes 20 different opponents for you to kill in your run. Now, there are a lot of different ways to destroy your enemies, but what you need is the most effective way, and there's a tried and true method that works for all characters that I like to call whammy spamming. To understand what this means, I need to explain the function of whammies, which are a core component of Vigilante 8. A whammy will occur when you hit an enemy with 2 separate weapons or more at the same time. Doing so will double the damage of the weapon that connected second. Now, this works for any of these standard weapons except the flamethrower and for most special weapons. If you've watched any speedruns for these games, you'll see a lot of whammies, and they're what you need to destroy your opponents rather quickly. Now, there are a lot of ways to get whammies, so feel free to experiment, but the most consistent method, at least for me, is a certain 2 or 3 standard weapon combination. The best 2-weapon combo I like to use is the Bruiser Cannon and the Bullseye Rockets. Both of these have high firing rates and do good damage by themselves, so the whammy damage is certainly impressive. The third weapon, which isn't required but certainly helps, is the Interceptor missiles. These have a bit of a delay but also have impressive damage and are targeting much like the Bruiser Cannon, so hits are very easy to obtain. Once you get these 2 or 3 weapons, you want to line yourself up with your opponent and then hold down both the handbrake and the fire button. Now, as you're holding these down, you want to mash either of these cycle weapon buttons to fire all of your weapons simultaneously. Now, this method will work for any character, but do be careful when playing lightweight characters, as you will get knocked around if the CPU decide to ram you. You can also whammy with both the Skyhammer Mortar and the Roadkill Mines, however these require more setup and will only work with certain combinations. Another very helpful method of killing your opponents quickly is by using the game's inbuilt secret combos. Secret combos refer to the unique 3-directional input plus machine gun for each of the 6 normal weapons. Each weapon has 3 different combos in total, and for a full look at these, feel free to go check out my video that covers them in detail. For the sake of speedrunning, I'll simply cover the combos which I think are important for pure damage or easy whammies. The Bruiser Cannon's Buckshot combo is my personal favorite. You fire 2 to 6 shots at once in a shotgun-like fashion, which does very high damage at point blank. This is useful in close quarters combat and works very well with certain special weapons such as Babo's Collector and Chassis Star Power. The Stampede Rockets is also another multi-firing combo like the Buckshot. However, it fires a 2 to 5 round burst in a straight line towards your opponent. Works well in close to medium-ish range combat and is faster than simply holding down the fire button, but make sure you aim because ammo is scarce. This combo works well with quite a few specials, but the standouts are Dallas 13's Mega Collider and Babo's Collector. Missile Swarm is another multi-firing secret combo, and much like Stampede Rockets, it will quickly fire 2 to 4 rounds targeting your opponent. This works well in medium range, since if you're too close, missiles have a habit of either flying into the ground or missing the target. This whammies well with most specials, but the standouts are of course Sheila's Tantrum Gun and Clyde's Chain Lightning. Another combo for the missiles I have to mention is the Afterburner, which uses 2 ammunition and gives you a burst of speed. Now you can't whammy with this, but the speed is the name of the game and helps you cover more ground. This also combos greatly with Houston's Toe Twister. The Crater Maker is very tricky to hit, but when it does hit, it can one-shot your opponents with a whammy. Of course, that's only if you use the 5 full ammunition to fire it. It can take 2 to 5 to fire, but it loses power depending on the ammo used. Works well in medium range combat, but you can also just fire it from across the map and pray it hits. This works best with Clyde's Chain Lightning, but can also work well with Obaki's Riftblade if he can nail the timing. Finally, we have the Cactus Patch, which drops a single mine, and when a character goes within proximity, it will expand into 2 to 6 mines in a small patch. Since mines come in groups of 6 via pickups, this is a fast way to drop all of them into a small area. This also whammies with Babo's Collector extremely well. Another mine combo I have to mention, of course, is the Bear Hug, which takes 2 rounds and drops a mine, which when triggered fires a magnetic field drawing in any opponents near. This of course doesn't do much damage, but makes setup for other whammies super easy, and this also whammies with Padre's Hades Gate if you can get the timing down. Now, I really don't care for the flamethrower all that much personally, since it's the worst standard weapon. However, it does have one redeeming feature. The Wall of Flame combo can potentially one-shot your opponents. However, this trick only works on the Dreamcast version of V8-2 and doesn't work in either the PS1 and N64 versions. Secret combos are a great way of getting burst damage or helping with setups, and since they run on a separate cooldown from your weapon's standard cooldown, it's handy to use in the right moments. Secret combos also have one more feature, and that's the fact that they can total your enemies. When you damage an opponent enough, they may enter a wrecked state. This is easy to spot with the long horn and white smoke. They will stay like this for about 5 seconds before self-destructing. If you hit this opponent with either a special weapon or a secret combo, they will become totaled. Totaling a wrecked opponent destroys them early and saves your time for each wrecked opponent. Most of the time though, you will be simply destroying your opponents if your damage was high enough, but when it does happen, you'll be prepared. And I think that just about covers it, honestly. You're ready to rule the wasteland with your newfound knowledge. There is more information regarding the characters in detail and also what routes to take, but those are a bit more advanced, and I think I'll save those for character-specific guides. I doubt I'll do this for the first game, since it's more or less the same stuff, and also I'm not the best person at Vigilante 8 anyway, just a guy who's ran everyone. Now get out there and wreck some shit.